Okay. Oh, no, almost. Wait, hold on, I'm almost there. I did it! Aha! I did it! You saw me do it, right? You saw me do it. I did it. I did the thing that I was trying to do. Hey, everybody, how you doing today? New SBS is out. We could talk about that if you're not busy, if you're not doing anything. It's like, oh, you're busy, you want to go, you have to go to school, you have to go get dinner ready. Oh, okay, well, you can come back later. It's a YouTube video. Right then, so this will be One Piece Volume 91, recently released in Japan, kicking off the Wano Kuni arc, and the SBS is honestly kind of disappointing if I'm just being straight up with you here. I mean, I didn't really care for it all that much, and look, I know not all SBSs are created equal. The last few of them have been pretty cool. We got to find out some really neat information about a lot of characters. Maybe it's because the Viva Record data book is out now, so Oda's like shoving a lot of information into that, and he just wants to hold back from revealing too much in an SBS, but there were only like 3 questions in this entire SBS that I personally like cared about. All the other ones were kind of just, you know, throwaways. I want to once again thank Artur over at the Library of Ohara for the translations of these. Links to the Library of Ohara and Artur's Patreon are, of course, found in the description below. And also, along with that, we got some information about Viva Record as well, because the new boosters came out, and I'm going to be covering those at a later date this week. But I just want to say about the new packs revealed in Viva Record, we find out a lot about the Whitebeard commanders. I made that video talking about the Whitebeard divisions and like what each division might be responsible for, and I got a lot of them right. I mean, I'm not the only one, and a lot of them were obvious. Like, hey guys, guess what? Big spoiler. Turns out Vista's unit is responsible for swordsmen. Whoa, right? But Jozu is the Vanguard unit. I called that, and also Izo is from Wano. Like, that's his homeland, Wano. So I figured that as well. So yeah, just kind of interesting. But we'll get into Viva Record at a later date. So talking about SBS 91, you know what? I'm just gonna start off with the 3 questions I care about, and then maybe I'll just kind of sift through all the other ones. And if anything tickles my fancy, I'll bring it up. But honestly, a lot of them really aren't that like impactful or interesting. Right, so starting off with this question, something that I actually received a lot of on my end, so I can't even imagine how many times Oda's been questioned with this, so he probably was just like, you know what, screw it, I was gonna reveal this at a later date, but forget it, I'm just gonna reveal it now. So, Morley, let's talk about him, okay, the Revolutionary Army commander from the West Blue. His Devil Fruit, from what we've seen up until this point, allowed him to kind of reshape the earth, or like turn it into like this clay kind of substance, make it malleable, so he can kind of just sift into the earth, and he could, you know, create like rooms underground. We saw this in his introduction. He just appeared out of the ground, and then, you know, later on during Reverie, he made that little room underneath Marijois so that the Revolutionary Army commanders and Sabo can have a place to hide out while their operation is underway, you know, stay covert and all that stuff. So we find out the name of his Devil Fruit is the Otsu Otsu no Mi, or the Push Fruit. So what this does is allow him to basically just push himself into the earth. And one of his hobbies, we find out the hobbies of all of the different Revolutionary Army commanders in the SBS as well, which I guess I'll go over that. Guess what Karasu's is? Oh boy, we'll get to it, but holy shit. It's volunteering. He helps out at like local animal shelters and stuff. I'm not even kidding about that. It works. Maybe a little bit terrifying, but it works. But no, Morley's hobby is just taking strolls in the earth. So Morley, you know, he could just wake up in the morning and be like, oh, you know what? I think I'm gonna go for a run. And he just keeps walking, and he'll just eventually get seeped into the earth and just go for a nice leisurely stroll underground, and then pops back up and he's like, oh, that was a nice little run. So that's his fruit power. Now, that's not the question, though. The question was not just, what is Morley's Devil Fruit name? The question is, does he have anything to do with Impel Down's level 5.5 in New Kama Land existing? Because the whole thing with New Kama Land was it's put right in between level 5 and level 6, right? So there's all this dead space in between the levels. Where did this space come from for New Kama Land to even exist? Ivankov talks about it like it's an anthill. You could see a diagram of it, of how it's laid out. This is very intricate. This did not happen by an accident. And the only explanation we get for this is Ivankov says, yeah, a long time ago, there was a prisoner here that had a devil fruit that was really exceptionally good for digging holes and tunnels. and so they made this place, but I was the one that actually turned it into the luxurious new Kama Land. I'm the one that put up the disco lights and the stage. I added that bar last year. Do you see that? Oh, I love that bar. You know, like, Ivankov was the one that changed it all into that, but the actual space itself was created by Morley. Right, so how this worked is the following, and this is kind of funny. The reason I always, like, threw out the idea that maybe it wasn't Morley himself that created New Kama Land, but maybe it was somebody that had his devil fruit, the push fruit, before he did. And then that person created the tunnels like a really long time ago, like hundreds of years ago, I thought. And then, you know, he died and the fruit got reincarnated, and then like hundreds of years later, Morley ended up getting it, you know, and then Ivankov just happened to be in the right place by the right time. But no, we do find out Morley did in fact create those tunnels. And so what happened was this. Morley, as we already know, is a giant, as well as an Okama, so oh come my way. But also, yeah, more of a giant. So he's 160 years old. Now keep in mind, for a giant, that's not a big deal. Really not at all. Giants can live upwards of 300 years, so Morley is kind of like middle-aged, like maybe in his, like, you know, late 40s, 50s, something like that, in terms of, like, compared to a human, right? So 100 years ago, when Morley was the innocent age of only 60, he was incarcerated in Impel Down for a crime. And while he was in there, he had the powers of the push fruit, and he created that, you know, underground tunnel, I guess just a place to just chill out and just have some space to himself or whatever. Eventually, he managed to escape. There was an incident. Now that kind of screws things up a little bit, because we found out that, in fact, the only person to ever escape from Impel Down before the big breakout with Luffy and the gang and everybody was Shiki. But according to this, Morley was incarcerated there and did manage to escape. What I'm assuming probably happened with this is that they didn't chalk it up as a straight-up escape, because Shiki was very overt with it. Shiki lopped off his own legs and was using the powers of his float fruit to, like, you know, creep out like Hanyabel and everybody. Like, I'm getting out of here! And then Shiki got out, and everyone's like, okay, crap, Shiki got out. We can't exactly cover that up. You know, he's such a notorious pirate. But I'm guessing what happened with Morley. Remember, all of the different prisoners that were spirited away to level 5.5, they weren't classified as escapees, they were just classified as deceased. They were taken away by demons and they died, and we just don't know what happened to them, you know? So I'm assuming Morley was maybe the first example of that spirited away phenomenon, where Morley was in his cell once, the guards go to check up on him, and then he's just gone, and there's no evidence of where he went. And they just assumed, like, oh, well, he's gone, but at the same time, we don't have any exact evidence that he escaped. Like, there's not like the bars are broken and the doors blown off Impel Down or whatever, so we're just gonna classify this as, oh, he just got spirited away by demons and died, you know, whatever. We have to keep the integrity of Impel Down pretty solid, right? So, what happened, though, is Morley just snuck down into those tunnels, created them, and then I guess when he managed to get away, and just everyone kind of forgot about it over time, and then slowly but surely, when Ivankov stumbled upon the tunnels and created the New Kama Land, that is when prisoners were disappearing left and right, and they started like, oh, the spirited away phenomenon's happening again. So yeah, Morley, pretty badass, managed to escape Impel Down, so he adds like to a whole new like list of very few people, up until the big prison break with Luffy and Buggy and Mr. 3 and everybody. That was like 200 something prisoners, but up until then it was just Shiki and I guess Morley. So yeah, the funniest thing about this whole thing, though, is that Ivankov still doesn't know it was Morley that did it. Young Ivankov works next to Morley as members of the Revolutionary Army, and it never clicked in Ivankov's head, like, maybe Morley was the one that created the tunnels. Maybe I should ask him. And just like, okay, whatever. Like, fine. I guess it really doesn't matter at the end of the day, but it is kind of funny, you know? So, yeah, that's the situation there. Morley's power is the push fruit. He can just kind of push himself and mold the earth around him into kind of whatever little pockets or shapes he wants, and he can, you know, just like envelop himself into it, just get swallowed by the earth and kind of freely like swim around in it. Sort of like, not Baby 5, sort of like Senor Pink's, I think Baby, because Senor Pink is dressed like a baby, but Senor Pink's swim fruit, kind of like that, except whereas Senor Pink was only able to like swim in, you know, the earth, Morley is able to shape it to his will. So, you might actually be able to consider Morley's as the upgraded variant of the swim fruit, the Sui Sui no Mi. Maybe you might be able to do that because it's kind of the same basic thing. Morley, if he really wants to, he can kind of swim around in it the same way that, Senor Pink could. So, yeah. So that's the first question I found interesting. The second one is finding out about the devil fruit power of Charlotte Galette. And Charlotte Galette is the 18th daughter of the family, and she is the Minister of Butter on Margarine Island. And her devil fruit, the first time we saw it be used, it was when the enraged army was attacking Luffy and Nami and King Bomb and everybody outside of Sweet City. Apparently, it was when Nami was raising up her climb attack. She was like going to launch an attack against everybody, and then her hands just got stuck. And she looks up and her hands were like bound with like this like viscous, like it looked like fluid. Honestly, it looked to me like Galette was controlling the rain because the rain was coming down and she congealed the rain into like a water, bubble or whatever around Nami's hands, and then she could like lift them up so that Nami couldn't move. She was being restrained. Either that or it was some kind of sticky substance that she was manipulating. But no, her ability is in fact the Butta no Mi. She's a butter girl. Wow, that's, okay then. All I can say about that is I really can't believe it's not butter. And yes, I did buy this just for the sake of that one joke. Which I'm now realizing doesn't even make any sense because it is butter. It's the Butta fruit. She has the power of butter. And maybe it was like, I don't know, a note didn't get passed to the animation team or whatever, because when you look at this, the scene in the anime, this does not look like butter. It looks clear, and maybe there is a kind of butter that's clear, but most of the butter I see, it's not like straight up like dark yellow, but it's like a creamy kind of yellow color. Like we all know what color butter is, okay? Especially if you live in the United States, heart disease, #1 killer. I think a lot of Americans know about butter, all right? But yeah, I gotta say though, Galette, you have an amazing figure. I really do. I mean, seriously, for the butter lady, okay, fine, I'll just roll with that. Yeah, and this kind of goes along with the other fruit themes. Cracker has the bisque fruit, so there. Katakuri is the Minister of Flour, and he has the mochi, so yeah, it makes sense there, I guess. But it's not a guarantee, that's the thing. It's not a guarantee 100% that the characters' like ministering duties are going to carry over to the kind of devil fruit they have. Like, for instance, Compote, who is the first daughter, she's the Minister of Fruits. That doesn't mean she has the fruit. Okay, that actually, you know what? I want to see that now. I want to see the fruit, Oda. Come on, that's funny and kind of punny. You can have some fun with that. But you know what I mean. Like, it's not a guarantee they're going to have it. But in Galette's case, yeah, she has the butter fruit. I can imagine she would also have some of the powers of Alvida's slippery fruit as well, because the way she used the butter was just to kind of like, lock Nami's legs in place, and she could probably like trap people in the butter, but she could also like make a slick, like make a slippery kind of, area around her, and so people can't fight her because they're slipping on butter on the ground. So you could have a few applications to this, or at the end of the day, I mean, if you really just want them to not bother you anymore, you could just hold them down with the restraints thing we've seen, and then just shove butter into their mouth, and they'll eventually have a heart attack. There you go. You can just do that. That would be easy, win. And right, so the third question that I'm the most interested in is another one of those, Oda, please draw this character at age 40 and 60. I'm sure we're probably going to get a lot more of those in the future. Oda's not going to rest until, I think he should just draw all the Straw Hats, I think Oda should just be like, okay, I'm going to get a bunch of these. Like, here's Nami, here's Robin, here's Chopper, all at age 40 and 60, just here you go. But in this SBS, we get Zoro, okay? Zoro at age 40, Zoro at age 60. If everything goes according to plan, nothing goes wrong and awry, we have age 40, he uses 4-sword style, which I don't know where he puts the other sword, and then even more confusingly, when he's 60 years old, 5-sword style. It's like he levels up his sword styles. I don't know if that's meant as a joke or when he really does become 40 years old, he'll like master another sword. Hey, that actually opens things up if he ever manages to get the other Katetsus, because people have always said like, well, Zoro only uses 3 swords. That's his thing, right? So if he gets the Nidai Katetsu at Wano, he's got to swap out the Sandai. Or if he gets the Shodai, he has to swap out another one. Oda's like, screw that. He'll get all of the Katetsus. Now he can use all of them. He can use the Shodai, the Nidai, the Sandai, plus Shusui, plus the Wado Ichimonji, but he has to wait until he's 60 years old until he can truly master all of them. You know what I mean? Hey, makes sense to me. It's fine. Also, I should mention there was like a little bit of a translation hiccup, I think. I did see this on the Reddit, like the comments. Apparently the wording of this, Oda said, if Zoro lived to be this long, this is how he would look. And I think a lot of people were freaked out by that. Like, wait, whoa. If he lives this long, are you trying to say something here, Oda? Like, Zoro's gonna die before he gets to the age of 40. I don't think Oda is that stupid to just drop something like that out of nowhere or just a mistake. So I think it might just more like a translation hiccup, if anything. But yeah, I don't think he meant, or even if he did actually say it, I don't think Oda meant it like that, you know? Also, this is what Zoro would look like in 40 and 60 if things didn't quite go according to plans, so there you go. Anyway, yeah, those are the questions that I think everybody was probably the most interested in, the Morley one, the Galette one. There was a question regarding Pangaea Castle, the castle at, you know, Marijwa, where all the, the Gorosei gather and everything. Somebody asked, is it named Pangaea Castle because of the supercontinent Pangaea? I already figured it was, but the answer is yes. Yes, it was, named after the supercontinent before all the, you know, continents shifted and divided. Also, fun fact, Pangaea was the name of the supercontinent, but do you guys know what the name of the super ocean was? Because if all the continents were just one big supercontinent back then, that means the ocean took up the rest of the planet, so it was actually called, Panthalassa, I think. It's Greek. It basically means just like all, or the one ocean or something, and yeah, I think it was Panthalassa was the name of it. But yeah, so Pangaea Castle is named after Pangaea, you know. This is a question that I'm surprised he hasn't gotten before. Oda acts like this is the first time someone sent in this question, but I guarantee you, especially in the internet age, he's been sent this question multiple times, okay? So the question is this. He's like, the way that Luffy says his catchphrase, you know, in Japanese, it's Kaizoku Oni! Oni wa nara! In English, it's translated out to, I'm gonna be king of the pirates! Isn't the way Luffy says that grammatically incorrect? Shouldn't he instead say, I'm going to be the king of the pirates, you know, rather than, I think the best way to translate it out is like, you know, Luffy says it like I'm gonna become king of the pirates, or I'm gonna be king of the pirates. And Oda, once again, he acts like, oh, finally someone brings this up. You know, apparently Oda's first editor for One Piece brought this up as well, one of his mentors. And I think Oda just went with it from Luffy's perspective because it's like he doesn't care, like Luffy wouldn't know the difference. And also, I think it adds a distinction to the character. You know, I mean, it wouldn't really matter either way if Luffy came out and said, I am the one that's going to become king of the pirates, or I'm going to be king of the pirates. Wouldn't have mattered. That would have been the catchphrase anyway. But I think the fact that he's like, I'm gonna be king of the pirates, it just adds a little bit more of like, yeah, it is incorrect, so you can kind of just attach that to Luffy, and that fits his personality. Like, Luffy, he knows how to speak. He's not an idiot, but he's not going to go around and study various types of pronunciation or proper grammar or whatever. He's freaking Luffy. So, yeah, it makes sense given the character. I guarantee you, Oda, you've gotten that question before. He's like, after 90 volumes, they finally asked me this question. Bullshit, Oda. Maybe you haven't seen every single question you get. I guarantee you haven't. You probably get thousands every freaking week, but yeah. Oh, there's a question relating to Brule. I'm just gonna read this verbatim because it's beautiful. Brule-san is a beautiful lady. I passionately love her and would like her to take her out on a date. Is there a chance for me to marry into the Charlottes? So, ooh, we have a courtier for Brule today. Okay. And Brule is actually she's only like in her 40s. Amande is actually older than her. So, and Amande has it kind of going on. So, you know. Anyway, the answer to the question is yeah, she does have that moe appeal, doesn't she? You better not run off with her now. Like, Oda's acting like her father or something. He's like, oh, I know, she's a great girl, but make sure you just don't run off with her now. Okay, whatever. There was a question relating to the beer mugs in One Piece. So this is something that, like, way back in the day, whenever Oda would depict characters, doing the kampai or the cheers and, pounding back some brewskis, the mugs he always used were, like, clear mugs, like the kind you would buy in a store. But later on, they get changed to the barrels. So it's like little mini barrels with handles that the Straw Hats are chugging. And apparently this is because there's laws in Japan that you can't depict people, can't depict characters younger than the age of 20 drinking alcohol, because you can't drink alcohol until you're 20 in Japan anyway. In America, it's 21, so it's a difference of a year there. But yeah, Oda thinks the barrels look cooler anyway. I do too, and so it makes it easier, I guess. You don't have to draw the liquid, you just have to draw the barrel and you're done. So there you go, I guess. Let's see what else here. What kind of chin is Eva's chin? It's called the fried squid chin. Fried squid chin. Okay. We have the Revolutionary Army Commander's hobbies. All right, so I already told you Karasu's hobby is volunteer work, helping out the animal shelter or the soup kitchen, You gotta be careful, though, whenever you're helping out, like, the Toys for Tots. You're going anywhere where there's small children, because imagine Karasu walking, oh, man. He's like, okay, ladies and gentlemen, okay, little boys and girls, we have Santa Claus here for Toys for Tots. He's gonna hand out the presents to all the little boys and girls in the audience, and then Karasu walks out with the plague mask on, which is like a fake beard and a Santa hat, and he's like, ho, ho, ho. Oh, sorry, I forgot to turn on my speaker. Ho, ho, ho! All the kids are like, oh, God, it's terrifying. Please take it away. Right, so moving on to the other commanders of the Revolutionary Army. Morley's favorite hobby is singing karaoke. And I love to dig down into the depths of the earth and go for a nice stroll tonight with you. Yeah, he's coming out with a CD soon. Betty's is growing vegetables. Don't really have anything funny to say about that. And then Lindbergh's hobby is board games. So I wonder what kind of board games old Lindbergh's into. Monopoly? I like a good game of Monopoly. If I can get some people together, Monopoly's a lot of fun. I know it's not a traditional board game, but I'm learning all I can about Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition right now, so that's kind of sort of like a board game. Oh, did you ever hear of a board game called Payday? I used to play that all the time. I used to always make my parents play Payday with me when I was a kid. So that was a fun game. Anyway, it also talks about their favorite foods, and I'm only gonna address this because the payoff at the end of this is hilarious. Okay, so the favorite foods, right? Morley's favorite food is Bagna Cotta. I have no idea what that is, so I'm just gonna throw up a picture. Oh yeah, look at that. That looks super delicious or super disgusting. Betty's is almonds. I like me some almonds. Almonds are good. I like that kind of nut. Lindbergh's favorite food is hamburgers. I'm actually making those tonight. I got some hamburgers. I'm gonna, I got all the fixins and the lettuce and fresh tomatoes, and I'm gonna, slather some 2 different kinds of barbecue sauce on there. Oh, it's gonna be delicious tonight. But the payoff for all of this is Karasu's favorite food, which is so aptly interpreted by Artur here. Wieners. Karasu likes them wieners. You could have just said sausages or hot dogs, but wieners. Good job, man. Good job. Let's see. Oh, we get a cool scene of Law. Somebody asked, Oda to draw Law with the sparkles in his eyes, like every time Chopper and Luffy see Frankie do, like, anything, they see the, Sugoi! Like, awesome! You're a robo! And so somebody asked Law to have that same expression, so there you go, and I have my own take on this that I made myself, so I think it works. But aside from that, nothing else really here. Just a bunch of just gag questions, really, or gag responses. So that's pretty much everything from this SBS. Not as much as I would have hoped for, but hey, maybe next time we'll be more into Wano, and people have had time to recover from, I think, the initial shock of Kaido and his dragonness being. So, we might get a few questions regarding that next time. At least drop a name. Like it's like, what name is it? Like the lizard fruit model dragon? something like that we might get in the next SBS. At least I would hope. But yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks to Artur for the translations, and we'll be getting into the Viva Card data book and the stuff we learned about that later this week. I kind of want to do a My Hero video tomorrow, so I think I'm going to do that, but we'll get to Viva Card later on. Thanks for watching, everybody. Tekking signing out. Dofi, what the hell were you even doing here?